Hello everyone, welcome to the Lungleng show. Today we'll be talking about the Israel versus the Iran conflict. It's the news is all over the world. I think people are debating about who is right and who is wrong, and whether Iran should possess a nuclear weapons or whether Iran should not possess a nuclear weapon. So the debate is ongoing, and we can see that hundreds and thousands of people are not sleeping properly, whether it is in Israel or whether it is in Iran. So I think we need to understand why there is so much conflict between these two countries. I think that it will be very, very important. The issue has been going on for so long. I think it's been now more than, since 1979. So it's now more than 40 years this issue has been ongoing. And I think we are not informed enough on why these two countries are always always fighting with each other, despite the fact that there has been lots and lots of international efforts that has been done for these two countries. So what we will do today is we will explain this in a very, very simple term so that all of us can understand properly. So as we all know the fact that on 12th June, so their conflict began like this. So on 12th June, this month, a few days ago, the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is an international agency or organization, a regulatory body, they announced that Iran has violated the nuclear obligations. So as soon as they announced, this is an agency that regulates or limits the production of nuclear programs. So since this organization announced that Iran has already violated the nuclear obligations, as soon as they announced on the 13th of June, they announced it on the 12th of June. But on the 13th of June, Israel took that advantage, and some critics say that Israel took that advantage, and that makes as a point of justification for them to attack the nuclear programs of Iran. So we all have heard the fact that there has been attacks from Israel, flying more than 200 warplanes to Iran and attacked all the military bases and the nuclear programs and nuclear sites. So that have been attacked, and that happened on the second day, which is on the 13th of June that attack happened. So Israel, under the leadership of Prime Ministership of Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel, from Tel Aviv, the capital of Israel, they sent warplanes to Iran. And they attacked a lot of nuclear program sites in Isfahan, which is a big city in Iran, and that the attack was so huge that there were 78 casualties, like 78 people dead from the attack. Those include the nuclear scientists, those include the military leaders of Iran. So Iran is an Islamic Republic of Iran, which is a theocratic country. They hold elections, but that is not necessarily for elections that is not so democratic. They choose who should be elected. The leader of Iran chooses who should be contesting for elections. So the voice of the people don't really matter. Although they hold elections, it is a proxy democratic elections. It doesn't really reflect the actual voice of the people. So a lot of people, including the nuclear experts and the military officers from Iran, died. So Benjamin Netanyahu, who took the leadership and decided that Iran should be attacked because the International Atomic Energy Agency has declared that Iran has violated the nuclear obligations. So they sent, like I said, warplane to Iran, and more than 320 people got injured. So as we can see that there were 200, and Iran was so disappointed, Iran was so shattered because of this attack. So this attack happened somewhere in Isfahan city and Natanz city, which are all known for, and one more city known as Fordo, which are very popular cities for the nuclear productions, the productions of nuclear weapons. So Iran has been working on to develop nuclear programs, nuclear weapons, and that has become an existential threat for the state of Israel, because Iran does not believe that Israel is a legitimate country, legitimate state. So Iran believes that Israel is not a legitimate state, so Iran has never recognized Israel as one of the states, one of the countries, one of the nations. So this has been ongoing for some time. And Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Islamic Republic of Iran, he responded with a word saying they will give a crushing response to Israel. Since Iran nuclear power has been attacked by Israel, so he promised that they will give a crushing response to Israel. So on the 13th and 14th of June, Iran attacked Israel, like bombing in Jerusalem, bombing in Tel Aviv, in the civilian areas, civilian localities, and they sent more than 200 ballistic missiles to Israel on the next day after Israel attacked. And there are 3 people reportedly dead in Israel because of the Iran's ballistic missiles that were sent on the 13th and 14th of June. So that's what happened, and around 14 to 15 people have been injured. So what we need to know more about the conflict between these two states, Iran and Israel, is that Israel is largely supported by the United States. As we all know, Israel is majorly supported by the United States, and Iran is majorly supported by China. So the question is also then, whom does Russia support at this moment? Russia is standing neutral, but they have a soft corner for Iran. So this we need to understand. This we need to know. Now, the attack has been going on and the tension is very high, and more attacks can be escalated anytime. So before we jump more into the details of what made this attack happen, let's take a look at the possible outcome from this conflict. So the possible outcome is that there will be for sure de-escalation, and they will start maybe continuing to another proxy war, not actual war, something like a Cold War and proxy war, where they will take up cyber attacks and assassination of the nuclear scientists, not directly attacking each other against each other. So the escalation will definitely happen, likely to be happening, and there can be a regional war if it is escalated. Regional war as in, the Arab countries can form a group that favors and that support Iranian regime under the leadership of Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, and Israel can be supported by other regions like the United States. And so there can be a formation of groups, formation of alliance, formation of different nation states that support. Whoever supports Iran will support, and whoever supports Israel will end up supporting, and that can literally cause, at the end of the day, a major, or escalate it into a bigger war. So whether the question is also, can this cause a World War III? We cannot say exactly whether this can cause a World War III, but I think that the length of the war that has been escalated since the day before yesterday, if we look at it, it's not a full-scale war. Israel was simply attacking the military bases, the nuclear programs, and the army officers of Iran, and so on. It's not an umbrella attack, a full-scale war attack on Iran, the nation of Iran. So since that has not happened, we can easily say that this will not lead to World War III. So in the nuclear standoff, now Iran has been attacked for its development of nuclear programs, because Iran has been under the control by something JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Nuclear Program. So I will come to that later, since Iran has been under sanction, and sanction has been released, or Iran has been relieved from the sanctions because Iran committed to the nuclear limitation. But now Iran has reportedly violated the nuclear obligations. That's why Israel say that it has become an existential threat for us, since the moment Iran catch hold of nuclear weapons, Israel can be eliminated anytime. That's the justification from Israel state. So there can be a nuclear standoff as well. Iran will still put its effort to continue making nuclear or developing nuclear weapons in the days to come as well. So I think now let's take a look at the historical background. How did the war and the conflict between Iran and Israel start? I think it's very, very important for all of us to know. Forget this side for a while. Let's look at the pre-1979. Pre-1979, the year before 1979, Iran used to be relatively cooperative with the world and with the Western world and with Israel. Because Iran and Israel were relatively cooperative with each other in their relationship with each other. Okay, so they were not as hostile as they are today in the before 1979. So before 1979, Iran was ruled by a leader known as Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. He was, when we look at him, what kind of person he was, and who is Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi? He was a supreme leader of Iran, but his approach was a little different. Iran was a secular, driven by shared interests between Israel and Iran. Iran and Israel had a good relationship when this guy was the supreme leader of Iran before 1979. And this guy ruled Iran, and it was not an Islamic Republic of Iran. It was a very, very secular state. So they believed in secular principles, in their country. So anyone, whether it's Muslims or Christians or any religious people can literally live there and set up their own bases. And this guy was very secular in nature, and he was very pro-Western. So he had all of that Western values, like a very pro-democracy, very pro-secular, very pro-Western values, like all sorts of democratic values. So that's why this guy was able to maintain a good relationship with Israel for a long time until 1979. States, the current Iran, Islamic Republic of Iran, current nation of Iran, they do not recognize Israel as one nation. They do not recognize Israel as a nation, as a country. But this guy before 1971 recognized Israel as a nation. Wait a second. Israel as a country. And one thing that was really interesting was Iran was supplying oil even to Iran. Iran was supplying oil to Israel even those days. That's the height of relationship. In other words, a good diplomatic relationship between Israel and Iran before 1979. And we can also see that they have a joint military operation between Iran and Israel because they had a good relationship and they shared all sorts of intelligence informations. And also we can see that they used to have a project known as Project Flower, and this Project Flower was all about developing missiles together with the help of Israel, and Iran would be developing all sorts of the missile weapons with the help of Israel, and they had a common and cooperative and joint project known as Project Flower. And also what we can know is that the intelligence of Israel known as Mossad and the intelligence of Iran, which is known as Savak, they used to share a lot of information, they used to work together, they used to have a great relationship before 1979. And also we can see that there used to be a direct flight from Iran to Tel Aviv, which is the capital of Israel. So in short, they used to have these two countries, Iran and Israel, used to have a very, very good relationship with each other between these two countries, and like any other normal countries, right? Just like Israel and, for example, European countries, as normal as that before 1979. But in 1979, this guy, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the supreme leader of Iran, who was pro-democracy, pro-secular, pro-Western countries, pro-Western values, he was ousted by a guy by the name Ayatollah Khomeini. Ayatollah Khomeini. He was a very, very religious Islamist, and who believed and who had the vision that Iran should become an Islamic country. So that's why he started and initiated a revolution in Iran, and he ousted this guy. And then he fled to Egypt, and he died in Egypt of sickness, of cancer. So before his party took over, he fled from Iran and he died in Egypt of cancer, he never returned to Iran. He never returned to Iran. Now, after he fled Iran, they took over and they formed a country known as Islamic Republic of Iran. So this was led by Ayatollah Khomeini, and that is now post 1979. Now let's look at what happened when this guy took over Iran, right? Because now they had become the Islamic Republic of Iran. So what differences have they brought to Iran, and what differences have they brought to the lives of the people? Let's just quickly take a look at that. So post 1979, after the revolution, Iran was taken over by Ayatollah Khomeini, and now we can see that the Iranian revolution of 1979 changed totally back to square one, as in they had really changed their perspective and diplomatic policies and all sorts of international relations with all other states, and especially with Israel. So they de-recognized Israel, and they did not believe that Israel is a recognized state, is a legitimate state. They don't believe that Israel is a legitimate state. So they started, they wanted to develop a nuclear weapon, because Israel already had a nuclear weapon then, and they wanted to develop this nuclear weapon so that they can eliminate the state of Israel with the help of other states. Because if you don't recognize the state of Israel, that means you don't believe that there is a nation called Israel. So that means, since you don't believe it, the only option, the only way to get rid of it is just eliminate them by any means. And that has also been the justification given by Israel, that since Iran wants to eliminate us, we have every right to protect ourselves or defend ourselves from the threat that is meted out from Iran. So that has been the conversation, that has been the discourse. And we can see that this guy Khomeini took over Iran as the supreme leader, and it became an Islamic Republic of Iran. And there was a huge ideological shift after he took over. So the huge ideological shift, what I meant is, Israel, even the embassy of Israel that was in Iran when he was the leader, the embassy of Israel had an embassy, their foreign embassy. Israel embassy is in Tehran, which is the capital of Iran. So now that embassy now has Israel's embassy in the new Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran has now changed to the embassy of Palestine. So that was given to Palestinian. That means Israel literally had no presence in the new Iran under his leadership anymore. So that's something, a drastic change that had come about when this guy took over the state of Iran and formed an Islamic Republic of Iran. And we can also see that since then they started a proxy support for any forces that was against Israel. So since Israel invaded Lebanon in 1982, there was an uprising or militia formed by Shia sect, Muslim sect, and that was known as Hezbollah. So this guy in Iran started supporting Hezbollah because Israel had invaded Lebanon. And Hezbollah is originated and based in in Lebanon. Since Hezbollah is in Lebanon, wanting to protect and defend itself from the invasion of Israel, he started supporting Israel to fight against Israel. Or he started supporting against Hezbollah, and Hezbollah would always fight against Israel with the support of Iran, led by him. And that's what has been going on. And he had a very, very high nuclear ambitions to get nuclear weapons in Iran, so that definitely to attack Israel, because they favored the state of Palestine, and because Israel was carved out of Palestine when Israel got her independence in 1948. So that has been going on. And now we will look into it again. And this guy, Ayatollah, let's look at what happens between 1980s to 2020s, like currently. Well, I'll just take you through briefly on what is happening around this time. So we can see that there was a war between Iraq and Iran in 1980 to 1988. Right? In that war, yeah, since he became the leader of Iran, there was a war between this and Israel. Israel was supporting Iraq indirectly to defeat Iran. So Israel was supporting, kind of a proxy and shadow war. They did not fight against with each other directly, but they support each other's enemies so that they can be overtaken and they can be defeated, or they can be weakened in that sense. And like I said, this guy supported the Lebanese Shia Muslims militia known as the Hezbollah, and Hezbollah was a big headache for Israel even those days. And he died in 1989. Since he died in 1989, there was a new leader by the name Ali Khamenei. This guy Ali Khamenei, I will show you. So Ali Khamenei is the current leader of Iran. So since 1989, he took over Iran as the supreme leader of Iran, and now he is still the leader of Iran. So, okay. So this guy is Ali Khamenei is still the supreme leader of Iran. Now, after he took over, there is something called a nuclear sabotage, meaning there has always been a proxy war between Iran and Israel. There was no direct attack on each other like that, just we have seen recently in a few days ago, Israel and they attacked each other directly. That was the biggest direct war that has ever happened. But those days, there was no direct attack on each other. Rather, they would use proxy war, and Israel will, Israel developed, there was a computer worms or virus, something like a virus known as Stuxnet, that was allegedly developed by Israel, and that attacked the nuclear programs in Natanz in Iran. And also Israel has allegedly assassinated top nuclear scientists in 2010 and 2012. And also after that, there was a nuclear deal in 2015. So the nuclear deal that was made with the initiatives taken by the United States when Barack Obama was the president. So JCPOA in 2015 when Barack Obama was the president. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action aimed to limit the nuclear weapons usage, or to limit the development of nuclear weapons in Iran. And that was jointly supported by Russia, United States, European Union, and China. So with these four groups coming together, Iran was asked and forced to sign this joint comprehensive plan of action to limit the nuclear production in Iran. But however, in 2018, when Donald Trump was elected in 2016, Donald Trump came over and he withdrew United States from this joint comprehensive plan of action. Since United States was the primary country who initiated this joint comprehensive plan of action when Barack Obama was the president, but Donald Trump withdrew it. Donald Trump withdrew United States from this plan of action. And then that emboldened and that encouraged Israel so much. It's a sign that Israel should not be developing any nuclear weapons whatsoever. Israel wanted to make sure that Iran does not own or does not make any effort to develop any nuclear weapons. But this joint comprehensive plan of action somehow allowed Iran to accumulate uraniums and all other nuclear products, but to a certain level. But Israel did not like it. But when Trump came and withdrew United States from that joint comprehensive plan of action, Israel was so excited. Israel felt very emboldened, and Israel was so encouraged by the action done by Donald Trump, because Israel believed that Iran should not own or should not do any program that is related to any nuclear weapons. And now we can see also in 2020 that the top nuclear scientist in Iran by the name Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was assassinated allegedly by Israel, because Israel has been against the development of nuclear weapons in Iran, because Iran does not recognize the state of Israel as a legitimate state. So all they want is definitely to eliminate Israel from the soil of the earth. So logically, that's what we can understand. Now, in October 2023, we saw that on 7 October 2023, when there was a festival in Israel, the Hamas group, the militant group, came and attacked the civilians in Israel. And more than 1,200 people died that day, and more than 250 people got, were taken away as hostage by the Hamas. And since then, the war has been going on since 2023, October 7th. And Israel has been bombing Palestine for that, the Gaza Strip, non-stop. I think that is the cause of that action on the 7th October 2023. And we can also see that in 2024, Israel assassinated a good number of Hezbollah leaders. Why Israel targeted Hezbollah? It always goes back to the state of Iran, because Iran seems to be the most developed, in that Arab region, because Iran is trying to develop nuclear weapons, and Hezbollah is hand in glove with Iran, and Iran has been supporting Hezbollah. So Iran has been waging a proxy war with Israel by using Hezbollah. That's why Israel attacked and assassinated a good number of Hezbollah leaders in 2024. So we have seen that, and after 2024, there has been a lot of give and take, a lot of frictions between Israel and Iran. There has been frictions between these two nation states, and we can see that the conflict has never ended. And from then on, we could see that just the day before yesterday, a few days ago, we have already seen Israel coming back to the first point, the recent development when Israel sent more than 200 warplanes to Iran and to attack all the nuclear programs and ballistic missile sites and nuclear sites and kill some of the top military leaders and nuclear scientists. So, and where we could observe 78 people died in Iran, and the Iran leadership led by this Khamenei is already responding to Israel, the state of Israel. And Iran is indirectly supported by China, whereas Israel is indirectly supported by the United States. So the tension is still getting escalated. We don't know what will be the actual outcome of this, but speculations are made that this will be definitely escalated because Iran cannot do anything much, because it doesn't have good weapons as Israel does. And the United States is threatening, literally the president of the United States, Donald Trump, has been threatening Iran that please come to the table and talk and make a deal with Israel and with us. And in regards with your nuclear programs and nuclear development. If you don't do that, you will face a more harsher way of learning a lesson. So that's what Donald Trump has been telling them. And as we can see that this conflict between two countries was already started since 1979. Started in 1979 when this guy was, ousted from Iran and replaced by this guy, Ayatollah Khamenei. And since 1979, Iran has been ruled by the Islamic leadership. So it stopped being a democratic country, it stopped being a secular country, and it stopped being a pro-Western country since 1979. When this leader took over, and like I said, he died in 1989, and another guy, the current leader, the Ali Khamenei, took over Iran and still is in conflict with Israel. And the tension is getting more even escalated, it's not even getting better. So this is a brief explanation of why this conflict between Israel has been ongoing for more than 4 decades now. And we don't see any, chances of peace coming between these two countries. Rather, it's getting worse because Iran is trying their best to develop the nuclear weapons. Iran is trying their best to make sure it could defend itself when Israel attacks Iran. So these two countries has been in fighting for more than 4 decades, like killing each other's leadership, killing each other's civilians, and still going on. So when you holistically look at it, when you comprehensively look at the conflict between these two states, we can see that Israel's conflict with Palestine, Israel's conflict with Lebanon, and Israel's conflict with Iran, the root slowly came down to Iran, because Iran has been a strong country and it has been very, very supportive to the enemies of Israel, like the Hamas, like the Hezbollah. All these militant groups are being supported by Iran because these militant groups want to attack Israel, want to fight with Israel for their rights, for their rights. That's what they believe in. But Israel has been saying that if this guys gets a nuclear weapon, then our existence is under threat and we cannot exist as a nation. That's why Iran should not get nuclear weapons at any cost, and that's what Israel has been saying. So this is, in brief, the conflict, the reason why there has been conflict between these two countries, and I'm sure the conflict will go on for some time, because we don't see any positive arrangements or any positive developments so far. But we'll keep you posted and see what happens. So thanks for joining in, and good night, everyone.